Hello, I'm Christopher McClure, IT Director for the Town of Hopkinton and host of Manager's Corner. Local government is here for you. Manager's Corner allows you to meet the diverse group of people who make your local Hopkinton government run. This show advances our goal of increasing transparency, communication, citizen engagement, and service. Each month you will have the opportunity to see and hear the people who make up the various town departments, boards, and committees. You will learn about them, the role and function of their departments, and available services. Manager's Corner will share the successes, challenges, and plans of your government to help keep you informed and involved in the decisions affecting you. Remember to always visit us online at hopkintonma.gov, where relevant videos will be available on the different department pages, and we want to hear from you. Remember to email me feedback, questions, requests to cmcclure@hopkintonma.gov. You may see your topic on a future Manager's Corner or on our frequently asked questions page online. So today we have Jamie Hellen, who's the operations manager to the assistant to the town manager. What is your exact title, Jamie?
Good to see you, Chris.
Hey, Jamie.
Thanks for having us. Thanks for having me. I am the operations assistant to the town manager's office. And one of my main functions is to provide customer service to all the residents here in town, and to serve generally as the clerk to the Board of Selectmen and ensure that the operations of Town Hall run smoothly, efficiently, and in a crisp manner where the residents of the town can get the services that they deserve.
I know when I think of your role, I think of like the show Spin City or Parks and Recreation on TV, where it shows kind of the inner workings of the government as you position being sort of a linchpin to making
Michael
things
J.
happen.
Fox.
All right, you would be Michael J. Fox.
Yeah, I mean that's really what the job is, and I've had huge shoes to fill. Most of the residents are probably familiar with Jerry Holland, who was in the position before me, and that's kind of akin to the quarterback that's got to fill Tom Brady's shoes someday. Big shoes to fill with Jerry, but we're trying new ways here, as you know, in IT, to find new ways to do business, create more efficiencies, create more transparency for the taxpayer, and ultimately, I believe, give them more access to their government, kind of like this program is here today, to show the faces of the folks in Town Hall, but also find new creative ways to provide materials in today's day and age of giving the residents here access to their government.
Right, and we're fortunate, and you're fortunate that Jerry's still with us in the town clerk's office, so you have that bank of knowledge and resource available.
There's a daily phone call usually. Somewhere I've got to ask her a question, yeah.
One of the focuses of the show is sharing with people just what the core functions of your department are. What role does it serve for the town? What services? Why would people call or come to the town manager's office?
Well, the town manager's office is an exciting office to be in. There's a diversity of issues that we deal with, and we deal with really all facets and department heads and committees in the entire town government. The core function is really to serve as a support network for the Board of Selectmen, who are, have many duties, but are generally the policy-making body for the community. They're also the local licensing authority for the community, and they not only get into the details of many of the proposals that come before the town, of course, but they also have to take the view, I think, from 30,000 feet to look at a more global view. So Norman Kamalo, who many people are probably familiar with, is the town manager, and Joanne Deneen is our administrative assistant. The three of us really work to support the Board of Selectmen's efforts, all of the efforts of the department heads and the other various committees with the projects and activities that they have going on throughout the community. And as most people are familiar in Hopkinton, there's a lot of exciting activity going on here these days. There's a lot of different new growth, and there's a lot of great projects going on. So this is really the premier community in Metro West to be in, and I'm very excited to be in the town.
And I'm impressed to see that you have a very open door policy in the town manager's office. I frequently see a resident sitting at your desk chatting.
Yeah. We do have an open door policy, and one of the things I'm very impressed with Norman and Joanne and everybody in Town Hall really, but in our department, everybody is very friendly, very open. Folks can just walk in at any time and have a seat and talk to us about their concern. Or sometimes I've had many people give us ideas, and I think it's our job to take a lot of those ideas that residents get that may be affecting them on their block or their neighborhood or their street, and look for ways to try to implement some of those ideas. It's kind of like when a teacher told you, maybe in grade school, they're the only dumb question to ask is, or whatever, is not asking the question.
Right.
Don't think that your idea is too short, or don't think that the process is too cumbersome or too difficult to execute. That's our job. Really, the responsibility of the resident is just to come to us and stop in. And I'd be remiss if I didn't say this for some of our residents and viewers who are watching this program who maybe don't use a lot of online access. Our phone number is 508-497-9700. And any of the viewers and residents in town, just give a quick call, quick email, and we're happy to answer any question or any issue. I think Norman has done an incredible job of creating an aura of good customer service in the town manager's office, and we want to be responsive, we want to be thorough. And please, I would never I would always encourage every resident to come to us with any ideas they may have.
And I think you and I share the same view of government as a customer service
That's right.
agency, and the residents and taxpayers
That's
are
right.
our customers. I know a lot like IT, the town manager's office becomes a catch-all for a lot of different issues, from potholes to other issues around town. I don't know if there are any interesting problems or projects that have come up.
Well, I think some of the interesting things that come up that I find fascinating. I was once told in my first job, which I know we'll probably talk more about the bio later or whatnot, a former commissioner in one of the state departments had said to me that, Jamie, don't ever forget there's so much capacity at the local level to affect people's lives. And that was a good 15 years ago when I started, and I've never forgotten that, because I really believe that we had one resident call up and say, I just need, this summer the vegetation on my street is just overgrown the road, and when a car's parked on the side, it's hard to get by without having trees dangling over and scraping the car and whatnot. And we're hoping to put in maybe a no parking sign or something like that. Well, the next day the DPW was out there. They cleaned and trimmed all the brush for that resident. She was very impressed, and now she's working on some of the other residents on her street to maybe get a sign of a certain area of no parking. And to me, those are sometimes I think government becomes so large, or some of the issues become complicated or too deep, they may not be tangible, and that sometimes people have ideas that maybe will just affect them on their road or their neck of the woods. And that's what our office is certainly open to hearing those suggestions. So I'm never surprised with the diversity of requests that comes into our office, and I think that that's what makes it most exciting.
Right, and I know we're working on some projects as Hopkinton moves into the cloud with some of our technology, that the emphasis becomes is not to having technology or supporting technology, but to using it.
That's right.
So we're talking about some ways to improve complaint tracking and linking other things, and you're working on a board and committee database. If you want to talk a little bit about the board and committee process and your role in that.
What we really want to do is, I think, give residents in this day and age with the technological advances, a lot of choice. Maybe some people just want to call us, shoot an email, or maybe people, what I think we're also trying to do, Chris, is almost bring government right to their own homes and give them access either through HCAM or as you described, the cloud, which hopefully most residents will know what the cloud is, but where they can basically have access to minutes, documents, plans, anything right there online, where basically we're creating an online archive essentially. One of my goals in the next several months is to try to put a lot of the committees and boards, their functions, the bylaws, and some other information right there online, so we can try to gain a little bit more citizen engagement and have a little bit more broader engagement of folks who maybe can serve and volunteer on different committees and boards. And so one of my goals is to try to get a lot of that information up online so that there's vacancies and it's very clear to new residents who may be moving into town. We have some growth in the community, we're getting some new folks, and try to get them active in participating in the government here in Hopkinton just as well.
And we'll remind people that Hopkinton has many citizen boards and committees they can participate in, and there's information on the website on how to...
And anyone can call, if they're interested in participating, while we're on the topic, might as well just say it here, is certainly give our office a call. They can also go to the town clerk's office and find out what vacancies are there. And we're trying to produce vacancies on different boards and committees and appointments, very, very soon. So it'll be up to the minute, up to date to the minute. Where folks in the community can just hop online and say, I'm interested in this issue, this is affecting me, let me see if I can get involved.
Right. And circling back to the idea of transparency, we've made a lot of strides toward putting the Board of Selectmen packets, minutes, making agendas more accessible through some of our different subscriber options. Every packet, I think, going back 6 months is now available on demand, and that's continuing going forward. That
is. What we've done is we've been able to put all of the meeting agenda, all of the supporting materials right there online by Board of Selectmen date. Any resident can go right online and look at the applications for licensure. They can look at any of the plans, any of the votes that the selectmen have made. It's all right there available at your fingertips 24/7, 365.
Residents are seeing the exact information the selectmen are seeing at the same time they're seeing it.
That's right. I mean, I would never discourage someone from calling us and certainly asking our office what an outcome was or what a vote was. But it's definitely important as we kind of move forward on some of these technological advances that we're working on, Chris, that residents, at their convenience, can access this information on any day at any time.
Yeah. And I know one of the core functions of your office is getting the selectmen meeting ready every other week. I know for me, town meeting is kind of my big show every year and all the craziness and getting presentations and budgets together, but you kind of do that on a small level every 2 weeks. And I think it'd be helpful to talk about what is the process? How does the Selectmen Agenda get assembled? Who has input into what goes on it? What are the timelines? How would a resident or interested party get on the agenda?
That's a great question, Chris. Really, anybody in town can essentially call us up and say we'd like to be on the Board of Selectmen agenda. I should mention, by the way, as a bit of a promo, at the beginning of each Selectmen meeting, we have 10 or 15 minutes of an open public forum. Any resident can come to the Selectmen's meeting unannounced and just, if they have a question or a concern or an issue, they're more than happy to show up. The chairman, Ben Plako, starts every meeting off with that session. But in advance of that, and we would certainly prefer this for, to have a little bit of advance notice, any resident, department head, committee member can request out of the board 2 weeks in advance of a meeting to have an agenda item on the issue. Some issues may be dealt with by not having to go to the actual selectmen meeting. Some issues the town manager's office or department head could actually take that. But if a resident has a concern, the town manager's office is a great place to start. Or if they have an idea, it's a great place to start in terms of moving their idea forward. So certainly just email us or give us a call, and we'll be happy to do that.
Awesome. Well, we'll take a short break and come back and get to know Jamie a little better.
Hello, welcome to HCAM Insights. Did you know that Hopkinton's television station has given you the ability to create an account on our website, HCAM-TV? With an account, you can comment on articles, submit photos for the homepage slideshow, and lots of new features I haven't had time to set up yet. But if you create an account, you'll be the first to know when I do. So don't just be a consumer of Hopkinton, be a participant. I didn't think that tagline would work.
HCAM-TV showing movies?
That's right. Dive and Drive-In's a new show on HCAM.
Join Mike and I as we present some B movies.
Movies that have piqued the two Mike's interest.
And not to mention, they're also free.
We'll give you some interesting tidbits about the cast and crews.
And point out some of the reasons these are classic B films.
So check out the HCAM-TV website at hcam.tv for movie days and showtimes.
Welcome back. We're here with Jamie Hellen with the Town Manager's Office. So one of the key aspects of this show, Jamie, is to put a human face on the people that serve in your local government. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your background?
Sure.
Where you grew up, where you went to school.
Yeah. So I grew up in Bolton, Massachusetts, just up north on 495, not too far from here. And I went to college at the University of North Carolina in Greensboro. So I went down south for school. I was a geography major, urban studies, and was aspiring to get into generally land use planning and environmental planning of sorts. After that, I moved back up to Massachusetts after having a great experience down south in the Carolinas. And my first job actually was at the Executive Office of Environmental Affairs, where I worked on the Community Preservation Act. So I was instrumental in getting the Community Preservation Act passed in about 2000. And then I worked with a lot of communities to educate and do a lot of outreach to communities. And excitingly, I believe Hopkinton was actually one of the first communities to adopt the CPA. But I worked with a lot of local officials earlier on in my career to adopt the CPA at the local level. I there spent a good bulk of my career as the chief of staff in the state senate, which is what got me really excited about generally customer service and working interactively with residents and interested people who wanted to do a better job in their government. From there, I moved to the Metropolitan Area Planning Council, kind of got out of that side of the business and came back to trying to work on some land use planning and working with municipal officials. And in the interim, I also went to graduate school and got my master's in science and public administration from University of Massachusetts Boston. I did that at night while I was working actually in the legislature. And really my focus there, I was very lucky to have a great professor, Michelle Sicolo, who got me more interested in municipal government. And this was around 2008. And so I kind of steered my career more towards working at the local level, primarily out of my desire, because I do truly believe there's a lot of capacity to affect people's lives and their desires at the local level. And so that's really what brought me to Hopkinton, was working in a community that has a lot of activity going on. It's a very exciting community. I think that the base that the town manager has created here of customer service, friendliness is very good. And so that's what brought me to Hopkinton. It's a little bit of a short kind of, I guess, bio, if you will, on where I've been.
Yeah, I didn't realize you had a geography background. I'll have to tap you for some of our GIS.
I do. It's funny that you should say that, because it just, GIS moves so quickly and the technology moves so quickly, but I'm happy to work with that.
Do you find that your experience in the legislature translates?
Absolutely. There's a little bit of a comparison between being a chief of staff in the Senate for a large Senate district, where you represent 500,000–600,000 people, and you have a lot of people stop in with a lot of different opinions, and your job is to try to make sure that those opinions and ideas are executed to the best of your ability. And that's one of the most exciting things about working in government in general. It's just working with the people. I'm very much a people person, and hopefully the folks that have come into town hall since I've been there hopefully agree. And I'd certainly encourage anybody to pop into the office and say hi or come in with their ideas.
So what brought you to Hopkinton?
What brought me to Hopkinton was a great opportunity to really learn a lot of, is to really work with people and to work in a municipal environment to try to affect the kind of change that I believe is available in a town government. And I came here because I feel that there's a great opportunity to create a lot of change. I think there's a great opportunity in this town with folks like yourself and Chris, Norman, and everybody in town hall to try to give the residents generally what they want, and to be able to have an opportunity to put government right in their living rooms, right out in front of them, be convenient, transparent, and give them a lot of access that I feel like is that they deserve.
So you've been here for a few months now.
Yep.
I don't know if you could share your impressions so far, challenges the town is facing, and sort of a broad vision maybe for the next year or so. Well,
generally it's been an exciting time. I've really enjoyed myself. I'm extraordinarily impressed with the level of engagement from the board, from the department heads, from the volunteers. Their commitment is really outstanding. And I think that Hopkinton really has a tremendous team spirit. That we're trying to do really good things, and I think that is actually reflected in the outcomes. I think we have a tremendous amount of activity, as I've mentioned earlier in the show, in the community, and it really truly is, if not, is becoming one of the premier communities in this area. Great schools, great activity, cutting edge projects going on in the community with Legacy Farms and a variety of other stuff. The exciting stuff that we're doing, I know that you and I have been working on and trying to make government just completely accessible to the taxpayers at all times. These are really cutting edge things that hopefully the folks in Hopkinton know aren't just going on in every community. That these are really exciting projects, and that's what brought me here. Norman did a pretty good sell job on it, so and it was pretty obvious that's what's going on. So it's a very exciting time to be a resident, to be an employee here.
I would agree. Before we move on, maybe just share a little bit about you personally, a hobby or some interests that are outside of government. Unless this is your entire
back to the
you go home thinking about
back to the human element. Yeah. I think you said in the previous one, the faceless bureaucrats. Right. Or whatever. I mean, I have a lot of activities. I mean, variety is kind of the spice of life, I suppose. But I'm a big outdoorsman. Although in and out, but I've been a big whitewater kayaker throughout my life. I've been a big sea kayaker. I've done a lot of outdoors work, a lot of camping. I've done a lot of hiking. I do a lot of sports. I'm in a couple softball leagues during the summer. One thing that I did this summer, which was really exciting, was I set up my first garden. So I had a very productive summer, and I also enjoy cooking a lot. So I spend a lot of time during the weekdays and the weekends actually cooking various meals and different stuff, and just try to create new things. So I'm a huge music fan. I go to a lot of concerts. I play the guitar, although not very well. I try. I hope nobody's going to ask me to play any songs or perform anywhere, but it's a great relaxation method, and I've always enjoyed playing. I've been playing about 20 years. Wow. So I'm a big music fan. Most people like music. It's not uncommon, of course, but I'm a big we go to a lot of concerts and stuff. So
awesome. Mm-hmm. Well, at the end of each show, we try to share a little bit of the behind-the-scenes workings of town government, realizing that we who work in town government sometimes take for granted that everyone just understands and knows what we do and knows the vocabulary and knows the process. And I think one of the things that's interesting for me, we talked earlier about putting on that selectmen meeting every other week. It is kind of like putting on a show. Yeah. And there's a lot of details. people see this polished and sometimes not so polished meeting when things go wrong, which happens, event. And I think it's hard to appreciate all the little steps that went into pulling that off. I know you have to take all the correspondence for the selectmen that comes in and organize it and put it in the packet, and maybe just go through some of the minutia of the behind the scenes of putting a selectmen meeting together. Sure.
Well, I think just to start off with that description, a typical Board of Selectmen meeting usually runs a few hours, 2 or 3 hours. We have meetings with a couple of exceptions due to holidays throughout the year. We meet every 2 weeks. The board puts together an agenda. I put together the agenda. Norman and the town manager try to assemble the agenda for the chairman, and we try to we get all of those items in usually about 2 weeks in advance. Together, and the chairman sets the full and has the final say over the agenda. And once we do that, we generally collect supporting materials, exhibits, maps, other materials that may educate the public on what the Board of Selectmen may be voting on, what actions they may be taking. By law, of course, we have to publish the agenda 48 hours, I believe, in advance. And so generally the agenda is available the Tuesday before the Selectmen's meeting. The agenda is available the Friday afternoon before, so any member of the public can go online and they can read the agenda. They can look at all the supporting materials that go with it, letters, maps, applications for licensure, for parade permits, liquor licenses, you name it. Those materials are all there for the public to absorb and read if they wish. And they can certainly get in touch with us if there's any opinions that people may have, or they can show up to the hearing and express their opinions on any agenda item. And so what my job is to do is to assemble and organize all of those materials, all of the correspondence that comes into the board, and publish those every 2 weeks on the agenda. So
you also have to communicate with all the interested parties and make sure that people know and
what time they're on the agenda, when they're going to be up, you know. I like to think what we're moving toward is a self-explaining agenda, where the explanation of what they're voting on and what the action is that needs to be taken is right there for everybody to absorb. And it's part of our efficiency kind of conversations. But that's a little bit of the background on what it takes to kind of get a meeting up to speed. It's probably a little bit more complicated than what I just mentioned, but it's also
right.
I'm trying to make this as easy for the folks at home to understand.
Well, as we wrap up, I again want to encourage everyone at home to not just share problems and complaints, and we certainly want to hear those, but let us know when something is working well. Let us know if you have a basic question. Let us know if you want to be more involved. We want the government to be here to work for you, and we want to hear how you want it to look. So visit us at hoppingtonma.gov, follow us on Twitter at hoppingtonma, and we look forward to hearing from you. So until next time, I'm Christopher McClure with Manager's Corner. Thank you.
You're on public property. By law, minors aren't allowed to smoke in public. You're going to notify your parents. Some education material to inform you of being harmed if you're smoking.
Hello, welcome to HCAM Insights. Did you know we have a special section on our website where we run a slideshow of photographs of recent events in town? We call it The Shoot. Kind of a newsy feel there, and it's located on the front of our website, on the home page, on the top part. The part our news director would say is above the fold. Isn't that cute? It's like our website is a newspaper. I wonder if that would make me Lou Grant.